we're live. Hopefully we're live. Hopefully this thing doesn't fall down. Hang on a second. Close enough for me. Hope everybody's doing really well. Ta-da. So, Kawasaki Z900 RS Cafe. Well, kind of there. So, some funny stuff. There's a reason why the thumbnail is me holding a machine-operated polisher. You see, throughout the course of bringing this bike home and filming a few things, there was not really any mishaps, but there was a little bit of rash already getting started. Marco's in. What's up, buddy? Skids, what's up, buddy? So anyway, I put out a video earlier and, basically was giving my riding impressions of this bike, giving you kind of not really a historical significance, but these retro, new, I guess you'd call them neo-retro bikes are really, really popular right now. And for really good measure, they're combining fantastic looks from, the 60s, the 70s, and early 80s with just unbelievably well-tuned, extremely efficient engines that do really good at motorcycle. Well, that's all great, but paint is still paint. And anyway, I'm over here working on the paint on this thing because a little bit of rash, but not nearly as bad as the impromptu burnout that I did on the trailer. And another reason for that impromptu burnout was I hung the bread box of this bike on a piece of metal that was on the trailer that was kind of lipped up that I didn't see. And instead of walking the bike up, I was just kind of riding the bike up onto the trailer like I normally do. Best practice, by the way, if you can, walk your bike up. Main reason why I wasn't doing that is, well, a couple of things. It was kind of misting outside today, and I didn't want to lose my footing. It's a lot easier just to catch the bike if you're riding it. Figured there'd be enough, friction there to get the bike up, and it did, but popped the bread box on that little lip. Didn't hurt anything, put a little dent in the bread box. That thing's coming off anyway, but the exhaust is going to get swapped out, not a big deal. But anyway, getting back to the point here, so there I rashed up the tank a little bit, and getting the stickers off of it. So anyway, between that and what looked like a rag rash on the back of the thing, it had been sitting in a crate up in the dealership for a hot minute, and so yeah. Anyway, they got it ready for make ready, and now it's my job to get it looking cute. So let me catch up with you guys. Let's see. Skid saying, looking good. Thank you. SCW saying, eating for Las Vegas. What's up, man? Marco's asking, random question. What do you think about Power Wagon? Looking for cool daily. I don't like the Ram 1500 new body style Power Wagon. Sweet trucks. Good looking truck. I like those things. SCW saying, guys, guess what I did? What did you did, man? Traded my SRT8 for a Scat Pack 392. Congratulations. Awesome car, man. You're going to really enjoy that thing. So big congratulations. Marco's saying also regular cab getting a 392 with cam and long tubes. Very nice. Marco's saying speed. Oh yeah. Speed bags in the background. So fun fact on that. I had set the speed bag up and it was kind of a bit of a rush job and I screwed up on the measurement. So where it's sitting now, it's supposed to be its lowest setting. But if you look at the bracket, you can't really see. You kind of can see it right here. If you look at the bracket, it's its highest setting. So yeah, measure twice, cut once, right? Anyway, I've since marked it where I need, you can't really see it. It's probably a little bit out of frame or you just can't see it. I've actually marked it where I need to raise the entire thing up. But yep, love playing with the speed bag. That thing's a lot of fun. But anyway, yeah, so tonight, the main thing is to get this girl cleaned up. And so what I used was a blue pad. I lubed up, where did it go? Lubed up the pad with the CW Chemical, I think is who I'm using. spray detail, and then y'all know what I hit it with. My Rupes, whatever. Stuff is awesome. Love it. What's weird is that I've been able to actually, with a blue pad or an orange pad, with a blue pad or an orange pad, I've been able to get stuff out of paint with hardly any real effort. One of the things that I found with these Rupes products is that they wind up with a real slick, real shiny finish. And in the meantime, it's giving you that real slick, real shiny finish. It will actually put in work getting swirls and little ouchies, little imperfections. Matter of fact, I had, I really did. I mean, I gave it a pretty nice burn when I was getting that one of the stickers off of the tank. I was going, whoa, hey, I can't believe I did that. Came back blue pad, so not ultra aggressive with the Rupes. And what I do is always I'll lube the surface. Start off low at a low RPM and then kind of spool it up a little bit, but just kind of watch it using the front half of the pad itself, just kind of running that pad in and being super easy with it, letting my machine do the work and not really trying to throw a lot of effort into it. You don't need to. It's what the machine's for, presumably. Sublime. So, hey, B, what are your thoughts on the new Ram with that new Hurricane engine, 540 horse in a truck? My friend, let me regale you with a story of me driving a Grand Wagoneer on last Friday. So, at the Dodge dealership, sitting there on the lot is a Grand Wagoneer regular wheelbase with the 540 horse, or I should say the 510 horse, Hurricane Inline 6. So the young fella that was awesome dude too, man. I love to hang out with this kid, man. He's a really neat guy. Anyway, my sales guy, or rather I should say my concierge in this case, yeah, I asked him, I said, man, do you have one of the Wagoneers with the HO Hurricane in it? He goes, oh yeah, we got one. I said, is it cool if I take one out for a blast? He's like, yeah, sure. So, how do I put this? I did a reaction video to it. And the reaction video went something like this. Hold on to your hat, my friend. It hauls ass. And I mean, not just ass, it hauls all the ass. And it's fast in a way that will blow your mind if you're used to 5.7 Hemi pickup trucks. Reset. If you're used to EcoBoost pickup trucks. Oh yeah, the 6.2, if you're used to that, get used to getting your ass kicked. I don't know what else to tell you. So that engine rated, listed, advertised at 510 horsepower. Maybe it is. I don't know. But I don't know what else other kind of magic Dodge is putting into that engine, transmission, the powertrain. I don't know what it is, but that thing hauls ass on the freeway in a way that even the 6.4 equipped variant would not be able to deal with. Period. Full stop. End of discussion. It will pull straight to redline, which is 6,200 RPM, guys. It'll pull to 6,200 RPM, and you would be forgiven if you thought that that thing had a 7,000 RPM capability in terms of making power. It never noses over. It never trails off. It keeps pulling on the big end. And I'll put it to you another way. If you were to tell me that that was 550 horsepower, I would say that's about right. I actually had the impression, considering the fact, by the way, that it's a 6,500 pound brick, okay? That thing ran, if you were to tell me that the engine was rated at 600 horsepower, I would kind of holler BS on that. But if you told me 550, 560, I'd be like, yeah, I get it. I get it. It's that quick. on the freeway from a dig, it has the same, and this is what I was trying to convey in that video, and I kind of didn't do a good job of this in a way. It had the same initial hit that the Hemi does. So you're in it, floor it, you're like, oh, okay, and then it just comes on. It's like every kit gets thrown. It basically runs like the Hemi with a 200 shot on it. I don't know how else to describe it, because when it comes on the boil, and speaking of which, when it comes on the boil, it hauls ass, takes off, and again, runs to 6,200 and all of that. But here's the twist. The transmission tune really is that good. It's that good in a way that I even made the comment, it feels like an aftermarket tune. It feels like somebody from the aftermarket was involved in putting this thing together, because it is not. Whatever tune you've got on your Hemi Ram pickup truck, yeah, that tune, this tune's better than that. It's way better than my tune. It's way better than anybody else's tune that I've driven. And the thing's coming to the table with an assortment more of horsepower than anything you're going to get from the factory right now. Oh, Skids is loving that cow. Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah. Listen, let me wheel this thing over. Hold on. Let me put the seat back on it. By the way, the seat release, key release, is underneath the cowl there. So we're going to get this put all back together. I don't know if this is going to come up as we roll off over here. Let's get her over here to say hello. All right, Goldie. I don't know if this is going to be able to show up or translate. Not really, huh? Is this going to work? Let's see. That's worse. Hang on. There we go. How about that? Is that showing up? God, I hate that's the wrong angle. Anyway, you get the idea. Really pretty bike. In fact, I was doing suspension settings earlier. It's not finished yet, but I've got preload set to somewhere around 12-ish millimeters of static sag, and I wasn't really able to measure, in other words, unloaded sag, and it's, I don't know, probably around 40, maybe total 42 millimeters. Sorry, not inches. What the hell? Anyway, you get the idea. Ken saying, I entered my first half-mile race in Gia Bend, Arizona. Do you recommend using the drag pack? No, you will not be using your drag pack for that. Or should I use my highway tires on the red eye? Use your highway gear for doing highway speeds like that. The drag pack is not at all ever designed for that type of racing. Not high sustained speeds like that. The compound's not designed for that. That's what your highway gear is set up for. So yeah, don't ever use your drag pack in that kind of a racing environment, please. It's only designed to go really fast for short periods of time. It's designed to hook really hard, get you down the track in about between, 7 and 12 seconds, and that's it. Skid saying, there's no bald eagle on that bike. Yes, no, there is not. Or a bad angle, sorry. Well, both of them too. No, there's not. Actually, that's the cool thing about this bike is that I've had a really difficult time finding an unattractive angle, especially if you're looking at it from the view of a kid from, the mid 70s, early 80s, just developing memories at that point in time. This is what motorcycles looked like back then. So, this is what I remember as a kid. So, that's what, this is what I was always more gravitated towards these types of bikes. One thing I will say about this thing is that it is smooth in a weird way. And if you're into bikes, This is a 4-cylinder. The red bike is a 3-cylinder. 3-cylinders typically hit really hard from a just cracking the throttle point of view. This 4-cylinder, which is not, 4-cylinders are really not known for that type of a characteristic. They've got it pretty well tuned into this bike to have that real sharp throttle response. So that's pretty cool. Yes, kids. Freedom, 2 wheels is freedom. That's absolutely right. Big time difference between having a car and having a bike. There's so much more involvement with a motorcycle. That's why I was trying to explain on one of the chats. It's been a while back, but it was one of the reasons why I was really missing motorcycles is because, guys, if I'm being honest, which why would I not be? I hate, that's a weird pet peeve of mine, and I'm so guilty of it. Well, if I'm being honest, well, yeah, you're being honest. I mean, you expect me to be lying to you? Like, do you typically lie? And it's like some kind of nervous tick to check. Anyway, one of the things that really annoyed me about the car thing is that, well, for one, I come from a motorcycle background. I am far newer to cars than I am to motorcycles. And even though I've had a blast with both, I've been very competitive with both, more successful with cars than I ever was with bikes, I guess because, cars are a little bit different vibe. But the reality is that they're just nowhere near as involved as the way a bike would be. And there's so much more diversity in the motorcycle world too, which for me means something. I mean, you can literally have 15 different bikes in your garage and have a completely different riding experience and a completely different overall experience no matter what. If you're to compare the two of the most similar bikes in your garage, there would still be so much separating them that you could almost consider them to be two different types of bikes. It's kind of weird. Whoa, what was that? People don't like to compare, or rather people like to compare the Challenger with a Mustang. Well, they're both front engine, rear drive, V8, 2-door cars. But so is a single cab short bed pickup truck. Front engine, rear drive, 2-door automobile, right? So why don't the trucks ever get lumped into that comparison? You ever wonder that? Like, from a logic standpoint, it makes no sense. If you put a tonneau cover on a short bed or a long bed for that matter, regular cab pickup truck, it is technically kind of like a car. It's got a big old trunk and it's got 2 doors. Anyway, you wouldn't compare those cars to that truck, but in reality, it kind of is the same. Well, when it comes to bikes, it's kind of the same thing. I don't like comparing the Challenger to the Mustang because to me, they're vastly different automobiles based on completely different platforms. And if you take that into consideration, it's a really bad comparison, to be honest. You wouldn't compare the cars with the truck, but you can make an argument that they fit into the same mold. So, I don't know. There you go with that. I don't know where I was going with that, but anyway, that's where we wound up. Arthur Azam, what's up, man? DM saying motorcycle culture is great. Oh yeah. Arthur saying glitch in the matrix. I'll tell you something. The cool thing about most motorcycle culture, and this is true of any culture or any population, you get outliers, right? So you get an asshole over here outlier, you get an asshole over there outlier, but they're always the most vocal, right? They're always the loudest and making the most noise. All the rest of us are just doing our own thing. Well, it's the same thing with bikes. And I am a huge fan of pretty much anything on 2 wheels. It doesn't have to be fast. I think any motorcycle is cool. I don't have a predisposal to say, well, one bike sucks and one bike is not. I get there's some humor. There's some stereotypes that go with certain bikes that you just absolutely laugh at because it is legit funny. But Man, to be honest with you, I'm cool with everybody that rides. And, if somebody that rides wants to be some kind of a gatekeeper asshole, you know what? That's somebody trying to deal with old past trauma. That's some mental stuff that they've got to get over on their own, man. Most guys with bikes, I mean, because we're all so diverse, and it's much like the car culture, but it's easier to get into a bike because the cost is so much lower. So you get all types of folks from all different walks of life that could be at the same meet doing the same stuff. So, and I've had, especially when I lived in Northern California, the group of us that rode, it looked like when you talk about diverse, not just in the people, but in the bikes too, you had every type of bike that you can dream up that would, if we're going on a fast blast, if it could keep up, it was out there with us. So it didn't matter what you rode, and it didn't matter who you were. If you were cool, just like in normal life, nobody cares what you look like. Nobody cares what gender you are. If you're out there having a blast and getting after it, dude, you're having a blast and getting after it. So it's very, very much more encompassing. And by the way, I don't know why we're getting so many glitches with this lately, but it's going to say, look at hard at getting back into, RSCV, nice, this time with Mopar. Talking about regular cab short bed. Really like to see a Sport Trim 5.7, we'll see. The old RTs are awesome. I mean, I love the RT pickup trucks. That's the DS, it's the last of the short bed regular cabs. It's getting so agree. Some of the most fun I've had hustling a small bike through the gears and pushing it to the limit. Had a ball on a Ninja 400. Ninja 400 is a fun bike. So I did a video as far as like, what is this bike? The Z900 RS Cafe. What's it like to ride? It's a lot like riding a 675 Daytona. It has more grunt than a 675 Daytona, but going through the RPM range, it's given a lot of those vibes. I can tell you that I haven't, because she's still going through break-in. I'm not a big, super hardcore break-in guy. I feel like you should ride or drive whatever you're going to have conservatively. Very few wide open throttle hits. Just kind of run the thing well into about the 1,000-mile range. And, just in general, give it a good mix of load ranges. But I'm not dogging on this girl at all. So to get it broken in is going to take me some time, but it doesn't matter. You can still get a really good feel for what the bike's going to be like, or car is going to be like for that matter. Talking about break-in type stuff, and it's a motorcycle, so it's hard to. I mean, you're lugging it, in my opinion, if you keep it below 4,000 RPM. And it was saying, well, for the first 250 miles. Or whatever it was, keep it below 4,000 RPM. The thing idles when you start it at 2,300 RPM. So it's like, I'm barely getting the thing to move at that rate. It's going to say, new channel coming, right? Tribe. Yes, we may kind of just have it as an off branch for B Mason. But you'll know it's a Tribe show because it's going to be me wearing the Tribe shirts, and it'll be primarily motorcycle content. Still going to do the Mopar stuff and the car stuff though too. Matter of fact, this thing is sitting on Foxy. Don't want to see that. Hang on. Bring out. There that goes. So yeah, it's sitting on the hood of Foxy. There you go. A little behind the scenes for you. Pick up my mess here. All right. What did I miss? Oh, DM saying, when I was a kid, I had a Vespa for the street. Those are super popular. After that, motorcycles of all types. Absolute. Vespas are awesome, dude. Love me some scooters. Oh, shoot. Which one is it? It's not the Vespa that this dude had at the last meet that I went to. What was this thing? Anyway, it was the one. Skid, you might know what it is. It's the one where you shift gears with the left handle. So it's click, it's like that. Anyway, it's like those sound effects. Anyway, it's one of those things. I finally got to see one of those. I can't remember the damn name of it. course, saying the Ninja 400 is calling me. Skid saying 400 is awesome. Dude, listen. For $5,000, brand new, you can find yourself a Ninja 400. If you want to get into doing track days, if you want to get into like legit, at least twice a month track days or more, or maybe at least once a month. That's what we were doing. Minimum of a month, once per month on a track. But if you want to start doing that, go buy Ninja 400. There are people embarrassing fools on Ninja 400s on any given track, on any given weekend. Believe that. The Ninja 400 at bike track events is the new Miata as far as cars go. It's getting eerily close to taking the place of the SV650 only because it's lighter, it handles better, and it's not all that expensive. Oh yeah, Skids, yes. Ninja 400, great track, good commuter, does a lot of good stuff. Skids say, funny, I was told to keep the Harley Davidson around 3,000 RPM. Then the Ducati, my safe guy said, go break the thing. Yeah, that's about right. I mean, listen, they're going to run like you ride them, right? I mean, a lot of folks just say, listen, the whole break-in procedure is just to kind of get you used to the bike itself. Listen, I didn't design this bike, but I don't know how that one was broken in, but it's 25 years old and hauls ass. And this one, like I said, I'm just going to be kind of chill with it until the exhaust comes. Well, I want to try to get it past break-in by the time the exhaust gets here. But we got a tail tidy coming and then a normal-sized windscreen for this thing. The clear one's always scratched so easy. Anyway, this standard looking screen, but it's going to be the smoked look to it. Let's see. Oh, the CF Moto SS450 is good too. They're good, and in fact, they're a lot better than they really should be. Oh, DM's hanging out with Skids on the Graves. Yeah, the 400 is sick. It's not I don't think it was a Honda, that scooter. See if you can find it. The one that the guy rolled up on was kind of like a whitish cream and green color. The thing's probably from the 60s or the 50s though, because the coloring didn't mean anything. I cannot remember what it was. Maybe it was a Honda. Damn, I don't know. It was a pretty sweet scooter though. Yeah, it's actually really pretty sweet. But yeah, as far as the more motorcycle-ish content goes, guys, if Dodge would come out with something that would be worth talking about, then maybe I'd get on board. But the only thing that burns me about Dodge right now is, can we get some push for something with some spirit to it? Something that is going to be powerful, something that's going to be fun, something that's going to be worth getting excited about. All we really have to talk about, and it's a big deal, mind you, not taking anything away from it, but the only thing we have to talk about is the twin turbo Ram. So, if you look at it from the point of view of performance, we don't have much to talk about. If you look at it from the point of view of cool, well, we've got a cool truck coming. And look at it from this point of view, guys. Let's say that you're Ram or let's say that you're Dodge, Stellantis or whatever, and you're just not going to be able to make ends meet by throwing out another Hemi because you got to pay so much in fines or you got to do whatever. and it's just not ever going to meet an EPA standard or whatever the case is, right? But if you can game the system a little bit and run maybe a hot rod motor in a pickup truck, maybe you can get away with it. And they had a history of doing that back in the 70s with the Little Red Express and with the Warlock. These were two hot rod pickups that back then were faster than the Corvette of its day. Now, that's not a tall order to cover, but it's faster than the friggin' Corvette, boys. I mean, that's hooking and booking, right? Well, let's not forget that there's always been hot rod pickup trucks. Even into the 70s, Chevrolet, you could get a 454 in a half-ton pickup truck. So there's that. Now, keep in mind that 454 was a boat anchor of a 454, but still a 454, right? The same kind of idea applies for the truck, except it had a hot rod V8 in it. So hot rod pickups are nothing new, but and using pickup trucks as an end around to get to a performance thing because they have a lower EPA nanny that they're dealing with, that's a good place to go too. So there's ways that you can game the system, and maybe this is one of those areas. And for a lot of you guys too, I mean, these growing standards are the result of policies that are put in place by people that you elect. So, I mean, if you want to try to reel some of this stuff back in, just get real involved with all and every local election you have. The last election I voted in had nobody on the ballot. It was all bond issues. You think, oh, that kind of stuff doesn't matter. It matters a lot. So guys, get out there, vote. It's incredibly important that you do that. But anyway, so yeah, getting back to this thing, pretty funny. I still can't believe, today, it was a really fun day. But getting it hung up on the trailer, I still can't believe that happened. And it's funny to me. And by the way, the sales guy turned white as a ghost. This dude was just, and I said, dude, I'm not that guy. I'm super cool with this kind of stuff. So anyway, I laughed it off, and it hung up. I kind of, I knew kind of what had happened, that it hung up. I didn't realize that it popped that bread box as hard as it did. But I kind of got up off of it and rolled into the throttle and let the clutch out, and this zzz coming up onto the trailer, and he's freaking out. I'm just having a ball with this thing. So it started out a lot of fun is where I'm going with this. And guys, one of the things, and this is where motorcycles and cars really start to gel and come together a little bit with their kind of the way they go about entertaining you. A motorcycle is, because they're so diverse. I mean, they're diverse in the way that back in the 60s, you had 30 different cars that were all cool. AMC had cars, Ford had neat cars, Dodge had neat cars. Everybody had neat cars. Then you had the foreign stuff. You had neat cars from foreign manufacturers. But motorcycles are even way more diverse than that. Again, you can have 15, 20 different motorcycles in your garage. Two of them may look identical, but by riding them that they're different. And all of them of every different country you could possibly imagine. You could have Japanese, British, American, Chinese, Indian. You can have all kinds of cool stuff, and everybody embraces it. Matter of fact, let me tell you guys something. Nothing will turn on a motorcycle guy more than a novelty bike, like a Ural, okay? If you don't know what that is, look it up. Royal Enfield used to be a novelty style bike. They just happen to be doing really well right now because they picked up. CF Moto is another thing. Hyosung is another thing. Any motorcycle guy that is, I mean, listen, you hear something like that, you go, man, I got to try that out. What the hell is up with that? But let me just tell you this. All of that being said, y'all like to bash on EVs, right? Like, EVs, suck. I'm pretty laid back when it comes to EVs, except when it comes to motorcycles. Motorcycles, there is no excuse to have an EV for a motorcycle because part of the love and adventure of motorcycling is the noise, right? So with cars, it's so weird because it's all about the numbers. How fast is it? What's the 0 to 60? What does it do this? How does it do that? All that kind of nonsense, right? But it's all about being able to point and go scoreboard. Bikes are nowhere near that for the most part. Every motorcycle that you see, each one that you see is the best at what it does in one thing. That's kind of the way you can look at it. It can suck at everything else, but at least it looks fantastic. It can be horrible handling, horrible everything else, but it goes really fast or gets great fuel economy numbers, things like that. And everybody respects and gets that in the motorcycling community. It's kind of cool. He's saying, yes, vote red, by golly, we have to take back this country. Listen, I don't like getting into politics or anything like that, but if it looks like that Daytona behind me, check yes. So I guess the real thing about the EV bikes, though, this is the thing. A dealership that I almost bought this exact bike from another deal. I just got, and yes, the reason why I was able to buy this bike is because I got a smoking deal on this thing. I cannot give the numbers out, but I'll put it to you like this. I got a smoking deal on this bike. So with 0 miles on the clock, I was able to pick it up and put it in my garage for a number that I didn't think I was going to be able to get it for. So yeah, there's that. But what's interesting is the other dealership is a dealership for the brand Zero. And so I was talking, I hate to feel like I was part of this, but I think I was. So y'all dig this. Myself and Orange Crush were in there looking at bikes. We both have a relatively similar background with bikes, track events, and hooliganery and all that kind of stuff. But we're in there looking at bikes, and I've been really, really turned on by the Neo Retro look. But they're a Zero dealership, meaning they sell the brand Zero. And one of the sales guys was talking to us, what do you think about that? And I looked at it and said, I saw the brand name. So what's it called? And he goes, the brand Zero. And I said, well, I have zero interest in that. And he just kind of put his head back, kind of laughed. And he goes, dude, what's up? What's the deal? And he goes, man, they're neat to ride. I mean, you've never ridden one. You can't really have an opinion. And I said, listen. And I sat on one of them. I go, I don't know what to do with my fingers on this thing. That sounded healthy. Oh, by the way, yes, we are in Velocito, and it is a very cool night this evening, and there you may be hearing a lot of that, because as we are on the entryway into Velocito, you're going to hear a lot of folks going out to make hits tonight. So getting back to it, he goes, man, you've never ridden one. And I go, look, man, first of all, I'm sitting on this thing. I don't even know what to do with these fingers. Second of all, what am I supposed to do with my left foot? But the main thing is that I don't ride this thing as, talking about a motorcycle, I don't ride that as a means to get to from point A to point B. I have, and I've actually commuted via bike quite a bit at one point in my career. There's another one going on. But the reality is that I do it because it is an all-encompassing experience, and I love it. I love it to death. And without that auditory portion of this, all you're left with is this bike that is torquey, but has no real horsepower, number one, and number two, has nil for range. I asked the guy, I said, be real with me and tell me what I could expect in terms of actual range out of this thing. It's one of the sporty looking Zeros. And he goes, man, to be honest, and I love that phrase, you might get 100 miles out of it. And I said, okay, 100 miles out of this thing. Keeping in mind that if you ride one of these two spiritedly, you'll get about 150 miles out of it. But I can go to a gas station and fill her up, and it takes all of 3 minutes to fill up a 4-gallon, 5-gallon gas tank. In a 110 Charger, it would take 8 whole ass hours to fill this thing up. Sorry, 8 to 10 whole hours to fill that thing up. Let's say it's 8, just for the sake of argument. So let me do the mathematics in my head. Is 8 hours greater than or less than, is it alligator mouth than 3 minutes? I believe that it is by a substantial margin. And so there's no convenience to it. And the idea with those bikes is that you can charge it at your apartment, I guess, assuming that you keep your bike in your apartment, but you can ride your electric bike into the city, do city stuff, and then come back, hoping that you're within 20 miles of your destination. You've got 20 miles of doing whatever in the city, running around, 20 miles of range usage, which could be 5 miles, depending on how you're riding the thing. But you have 20 miles of range usage and then 20 miles to come back, and you've got buffer to spare. And you can just charge the bike. The problem is that now you're treating this thing like a cell phone, and how long is that battery going to last anyway? So, and if you are keeping it indoors, what happens if it catches on fire? Tesla. Anyway, you guys know what I'm talking about with that. Let's see. Oh, Skid saying the range really sucks on the e-bikes. Don't like the live wire either. Well, the funny thing about Harley Davidson is, didn't they just kill their e-brand? Or did I maybe misunderstand? My understanding is that Harley Davidson killed their e-bikes, but course correct me if I'm wrong about that. If that's the case, that's 2 e-brands that have gone belly up. Oh, DM saying, nothing clears my head like going for a ride. I come back happy and balanced. The angles, the sounds, and views and some good back roads will change perspective. So my wife had made an observation with me when I started working on the Daytona. She's like, man, she said, I seem like I'm happier. And, I'm working on bikes like the Daytona that are challenging because they're hard to get parts for and all this other stuff. But I would ride that thing, and it just puts me in such a place. And I'm with you, DM. I mean, I go for a ride. I'm not going to be necessarily doing hooligan stuff. Although I did get this one over on its tire just fine. Thank you very much tonight. I wasn't really planning on doing that, and it was cold, and the tires are brand new. Anyway, so there's that. But getting back to it, I find myself in a completely different frame of mind when I'm talking about and I am doing anything when it comes to bikes. And I don't know if it's because it's a familiarity thing with me and bikes. I don't know if it's because that's what I came up with and grew up with. I don't know if I don't know if I can put it into words, but it's different when it comes to bikes than it is with cars. And even the guys that are super crazy competitive with bikes, I don't know, man. How do I say this? You don't get the hard heads in bikes the way that you do in cars. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because there's a lot more involved and a lot more invested in cars. Skids, Livewire was separated from HD, but still owned by HD. Okay. SCW saying the best part about owning a Scat Pack cold starts that wake up from the dead. So fun fact, if you've ever wondered why, and this is so funny to me because, let me just get into this. So the reason why modern fuel injected cars hit really hard on a cold start, or why they sound like that on a cold start, There's two reasons they kind of walk hand in hand. On a cold start, the timing is retarded. And anytime you retard timing, what you're doing is you're delaying when the spark plug fires a mixture, but you have fixed events happening with the camshaft. So as that mixture is propagating through the cylinder as pressure decay, you're firing it later, so it has less time to chemically react until the exhaust valve opens up. So you're dumping more pressure out of the exhaust valve than you would with a more advanced timing. And it's running richer, which means that it's got a not necessarily slower burn time, but you have more mass in the cylinder that you normally would have. So you can call it a bit of a slower burn, but it's because of that your residual pressure in the cylinder is still high, which makes the sound coming out of that exhaust valve higher, which makes it louder, which is why cold starts are what they are with these modern carbureted or fuel injected cars. Carburetors don't do that. You would just have an idle cam that it would sit on that would raise the RPM up to get the thing to warm up. Oh, DM saying on a bike, you're part of the experience, not just along for the ride. It's a good way to put it. And I'll expand upon DM's point because DM brings up a great point. You are structurally integral to the organism that you create as a motorcycle rider. Whereas, just like DM said, you are just riding in a car, giving it input, right? You're not actually part of the structure of the car. You can't affect the way that car turns and handles by leaning, right? So think of it that way. A motorcycle, without you, the motorcycle is an incomplete entity. It has to have the human being interface to complete the organism. It needs the human to be able to countersteer intuitively, which is weird when you think about it, but it needs that input to do what it does. And so that's why motorcycles are so much more of an engaging experience, because you're not just along for the ride, you are part of the thing that you're riding. It's why it's so, this is why so many motorcycle guys are so accepting of everybody and anybody and every bike and everything else, is because what shirt I wear and what shoes I wear may be comfortable for me and may not fit you at all. They could be too big, too small, have the wrong cut, seams in the wrong place, makes you itchy. All of that can come from something that I enjoy a ton. You could hate it. Now, on the other side, you could be just like me and love it to death. But the reality is that it really is a skin, if you will, or it is who you become when you put that bike on. When you throw a leg over that bike, again, you become structurally integral to this new thing. Oh, Skid saying you can't beat a good head clearing ride on a motorcycle. Don't care what brand, what style, which motor size. It's truly therapeutic. Big time. Listen, any kind of bike is a good bike as far as I'm concerned. I've never met a bike I didn't like. And that to me says a ton about just how much fun and engaging these things could be. It could be a mini bike, a Grom, it could be anything. As long as I can throw a leg over it and have fun, man, that's all that matters to me. Now, there have been some that have frustrated me to death. But this one over here, you would think would have been the biggest nightmare. And it's actually been, well, you would think I would have described it as a nightmare. But to me, my Daytona has been such a cool story behind it. Being able to reconnect with my dad and build the bike and have it put back together with help from my dad because he was involved with a forum. That's a really cool story. And the running joke between my mom, my wife and me was that, it wasn't like I can just call my mom. It was like I would text dad if I needed to know something with the bike. And the text was me looking it up on a forum site that he was big into. And he was literally walking me through the rebuilding process of this bike from the great beyond, if you will. So that was really kind of cool. So there's a neat connection that you can have with these types. You can do it with cars too, don't get me wrong, but it's just so different because, again, you can sit in a car and remember good times, but this is a shared experience when you're talking about your dad's bike, because I can ride in my dad's car, Foxy. I can drive my dad's car. But this motorcycle behind me, that's a unique experience. That is, you are now piloting something that your dad piloted at that point. You are now becoming structural to the organism that your dad was structural to. And that is a completely different feeling. It's a completely different rush of emotion and connection than what you can have with a car in many respects. I'm not saying you can't get there with a car, but bikes are different in a way that you have to fit the bike for it to be comfortable. You can adjust the seat in a car. There's a lot of things you can't adjust about a bike, and you'll know it right away. It's either comfortable or it's not. And so what's really neat is that just how fast, or I can't even use that word, how there was absolutely zero loss of connection between myself and the Daytona from a decade and change ago when I gave it to my dad. So pretty cool stuff, and definitely, it represents something that's a lot more than just it is a machine. So, DM saying, awesome story. It's all true. And y'all have been part of this, throughout this entire process. Hold that thought. I got to get a charger because this thing's about to croak. Hang on. Where did I put that damn thing? I did not realize that thing was just about to keel over. There's a lot of stuff in this garage that kind of walks in lockstep with that, though. There we go. I think we're back on point. Are we back? I hope so. Either that or this thing's junk. There we go. Is that working? I think that's working. Maybe it's not working. That was loud. All right. Zephyr saying, what up, Professor B? Aceto saying, gotta go drive. The anticipation is real. Skid's like story about dad. Yeah, it's really cool. And there's a lot of stuff in here. Like there's some neat stuff that you may not even pick up on. Oh yeah, the tribe shirts. Have y'all seen the tribe shirts yet? Hang on, let me go get one. I'll be right back. All right, so this is the new logo, and I'm going to have to get, this is the new logo. I'm going to have to, there's actually a bit of a change in the design. So that is the new logo. Now the difference is that the new logo is still the same up top, but it's not as wide as not as wide of a font. And this is inverted. So it's just toned down. This part of it's black and this part of it's filled in white. So anyway, that's the tribe shirts. I am going to be, I need to set up a website at some point. I'm going to try to start doing that here over the next few weeks. So if you want a shirt, I can get you a shirt, links to that and everything. So I'm working on that, but hopefully that's coming soon. If you're asking about this is actually from a company that I work for. But the tribe shirts are coming. Oh, DM say I have a lithium battery in my bike. It took off about 9 pounds. Yeah, they do take off quite a bit of weight. Matter of fact, I saved my lithium battery in the Hellcat, and I could not believe how heavy the factory battery was for that thing. Yeah, we need to try a t-shirt. Skid say I'm looking at getting the lighter battery for the Ducati. Yep. Oh, Zephyr said, I've been creeping on your vids. Any advice on getting the missus comfortable with the thought of me riding? Yes, a few things. One, yeah, show up with the bike. That's the best way, Skids. Listen, I understand there is some fear there. Just communicate with her. Say, hey, babe, I'm taking the bike out. You'll know when I get home or whatever. But communicate with her. And, the more you ride, the more she'll get used to it. And, it's a lot of fun. Get her, see if she'll get involved with it. Best way to get them to, to get involved or to be cool with you is to get them involved with it. This kid said, let her watch you safety videos on riding, cheaper than therapy. Get her involved. See if she'll go to, if she wants to learn how to ride a motorcycle, get her involved with one of the MSF, the Motorcycle Safety Foundation classes. You never know. Maybe she'll take to it. A lot of times, and chicks are funny like that too. A lot of times, chicks will be, really, stiff and, I can't do that. And the next thing you know, they dive right in the middle of it. So you never know. But anyway, guys, with that, I'm going to have to wrap it up. I got to get this all cleaned up. I got to get to work early tomorrow morning. So I got to get this rocking and rolling. But with that, guys, listen, get out there and do something cool for somebody. Chances are they need it way more than you know. I will catch you guys on the next one. Let me make sure I'm not missing anybody. Skid saying, get her on 2 wheels. Get her that 400 Ninja. Get her a Can-Am. Hey, Skids. Thanks, guys. We will see y'all later. And with that, that is a wrap. Adios.